Hi again, Felipe here for part three of the ecom dissection of meine Nahrungsergänzung. If you check out parts one and two, I delved into the homepage and the product page, and now I wanted to talk a little bit about the header, about the footer. And if you missed it, you can check out the review file as well, which is linked in the description. And I would appreciate a like and follow if you want, if you get some value from this. Otherwise, well, that's fine too. But I hope you do. Yep, so let's get going. Continue, pick up where we finished. So I'm back here in my little feedback tool, right? And so let's talk about the header for a second. So the header is, I think I mentioned that already, is a little too stretched. It takes up too much space, so too much space, too much vertical space, right? So that's being wasted, and mostly that is a result of the logo type, um, as a result of of the logo size, which kind of dominates the entire frame, and that's not usually ideal. So if we reduce the logo a little bit, we're able to save some vertical space and use it for um, additional announcements or use it for truss elements. So this is really not good. So, okay, let's keep that in mind. And then another additional point will be the distribution, the layout of the header, which is kind of like placing more value on the logo itself than the other customer aspects. So, for instance, this is an accepted layout, but I would, in this case, given the colors and the type of logo, I would just push the logo to the left and change it, switch it with the menu here and with the search icon here. So that would be step two, right? Step two to exchange or to trade places with the left menu set. Um, and yeah, so imagine we can bring that to the middle. I had already spoken about the mobile menu, which is not ideal here, right? If you remember like people can't picture what type of products you can sell, so the menu kind of like hides your entire assortment, your entire inventory, whereas it should be used to facilitate navigation, just as we have the categories here, right? And in addition to that, what you could do is we could take the search bar and we can expand it. So if we expand the search bar, meaning we will turn it into an interactive element that not only expands on clicking or interaction, but it would already be expanded, especially if you have lots of products on your web page. You would like to make the search very accessible and easy for the user. So a centralized search bar with predictive search in the center that will be more conducive to an easier customer interaction. So expand the search bar, make it visible, right? Make it visible, make it interactive, and ideally and ideally use predictive search. Predictive search that also specifies product categories. And also, just meaning so by that I mean the filtering according to categories and special collections to maintain the oversight. All right, so in addition to that, maybe let's switch the focus to the right side. We have a little widget here, translation widget, and kind of like okay, so excuse me. So if you go to the right-hand side, we have the little translation widget with the language widget. The thing is, it's kind of dry. So ideally here, what we could do is to add icons, like a a flag dropdown, for instance, for different languages, and connected with the euro and the different currencies, which they don't have. So actually, they do. So I meant the currency Unico, right? But however, if we can go back, right. So if we change the currency to something other than euros, then you can see that we get the currency Unico, which is good. However, what's also good is the lack of icons. So, country ISO icons, which makes it more visual and appealing. And not only does it break the kind of like the very dry layout, but it also makes it easier to differentiate between the languages. So, to multi-purpose here. And then, of course, we have the classic accounts, and we have the classic A to C. There's a lot you could do here, but one thing I wanted to check before I say something about that is if we go to the product page, okay. So in the product page, we don't have an icon for the card. So this is mostly fine. Just the color is really off-putting. Mostly fine, but as a side note, if you wanna use like the card icon throughout the website and make sure it's consistent and it's the same design, So lots of people miss that. And the accounts, well, you could add a writing to that, like a wording, just say accounts here, login here. It's fine, but it's basically standard. It's kind of neutral, this. So it's like Switzerland, It's totally neutral, so it kind of works. It works all right, Okay, so I'm just gonna go to the footer now, take a look at that. So, in general, once again, it takes up just too much space, like it's also a question, a test question, whether you wanna integrate the newsletter banner directly in the footer, which can be seen throughout the website, so it's always there with the footer. However, I think in most cases I think it's better to show the newsletter uh, section either as a pop-up here and there, but you gotta be careful with pop-ups, but maybe not everywhere, like maybe on the homepage and product page, but not as quasi the a part of the footer. Yeah, then there are some open questions here. Okay, but anyhow, the footer, the newsletter in the footer takes up too much space again, so it takes up too much vertical space, just like the header, and we should, you know, make it more compact, compartmentalize and utilize the space a little better. The color is just totally off here. It's just, like a mix of wild colors and gradients. Something like this can work if it's, according to, if it's in tune with the brand. Say like a toy store, like the Toy Story. A toy store, could work with, or maybe like a candy store, like you can work with, yeah, so if you are thinking about like selling toys or candy, then you kind of can work with different gradients and wild colors, but this should not be the case in a supplement company unless it's really wild, like Libramate or, for instance, Vay. It's a very famous brand here. And that's their branding, but here it just doesn't work with the type and of products and images that we have here. So, I would reduce this, simplify it, right? I think another word is just to simplify everything, simplify it, and kind of like go back to the basics at first, and then from there on you can start making better decisions. Also here there is too much gap. Also the payment icons, for instance, um, payment icons should be distributed, according to their usage. I'm not sure if they were. I can't know it in this case, but I know for a fact that Apple Pay and Google Pay, they are not very popular here in Germany. At least not compared to PayPal or Visa, you know. Also, Klarna could be an option. Klarna, they offer installment payments, which can be quite interesting, you know. So, other things that we should have here, we should have a proper. Hold on, let me just save this. Okay, so proper menu, meaning the entire hierarchy. So hierarchy of the store, including like the main categories, you know, main products, main categories, main products. Basically a reflection of the classic standard menu, but in a different organizational structure. So main products, highlights, you know, stuff like highlights and bestseller, you know, that's also quite important. Something else would be what was I gonna say? Yeah, like additional brand elements. So we have no brand elements. No, not really, right? If we go up again, let me just take a sec. Then we have the menu. Okay, then we have this Wissenswertes, which is kind of like a blog, you know, like if you take a look at that. But apart from that, we know nothing about the brand, you know, and also when it comes to the footer is, yeah, it's a place to also highlight important information because it stays fixed in most cases. It is fixed right to the bottom, and you can see it on every page. And also, that's a legislation requirements, at least here in Europe, for data protection and for privacy reasons. The access to where is it here? What they have here? Like here, the access to. I'm gonna show you in one sec. Okay, so the access to Datenschutzerklärung and Impressum, which is kind of like data protection terms and legal notices that has to be present throughout the website. So accessible at every time. So must remain accessible throughout the site, you know. But there's like a particularity in the EU market, but still, it's been sold here, so I'm gonna apply EU standards to it, right? So just as an example, and also the footer, as I said, should enrich the website, right? So if we go back to these points, we can also add sitemaps, for instance, you know, sitemaps to make search engines read the page in a better way, for instance, and also for navigation. It can be useful depending on the case. So sitemap could be an option in additional content, you know, like content such as promotions, you know, like promos and content pages, you know, where you present the brand, where you introduce the brand, the founding story, the vision, the mission, the target group, sustainability, ethics, brand ethics. Like it can go very deep in content, but the bare minimum would be a menu of the site, right? There will be the bare minimum plus the legal information, which I can see it appears to be there because that's a standard. It's an out of the box thing by Shopify to include the policies. Otherwise, you have to pay attention to that and include them accordingly. Let me just take a quick look at the legal pages, see if there's something we have to absolutely change. Okay, appears to be fine, but if we go to, I don't know, like shipping. Okay, shipping, it is a motif throughout the website that there's just not enough content, you know. It's a two-click website, you know, you just click it, voila, and then you just, you know, lay out your text and your images, change them up, set a price, and you're good to go. That's not the way it works, right? So I just want to draw your attention to lack of additional content throughout the entire website, right? So it's a motif as well. And kind of like the lacking consistency and the wildness, and the over simplicity, which is just not conducive to creating trust, establishing trust, and hence it's not very conducive for purchases and for getting customers. So this is not a good foundation whatsoever. I've seen many other things that are quite worse than this, obviously, but this is a how they call it, like a clutter cookie cutter. Uh, my English is failing me right now. So it's just a copy, it's a template, out of the box template, and then you just throw your content in there and you think that's it, that's gonna get you sales. So it's just like in this entire foundation, this is just the top of the iceberg, like we're having, I have no idea, like 40 comments already, plus everything that I mentioned. This is a very superficial dive in terms of the entire website. So there's a lot to do here. There's a lot to explore. There are also good elements, which is cool, which is nice. Like for example, the top here, the top announcement. That's pretty classic, but it can work. And from my Shopify knowledge, I know that these banners, they are part of the out of the box template. So the seller, the owner of the store, didn't do anything in particular here. But still, it's a good feature, and just the fact that it was left in there, it's actually not bad. And yeah, and like the logo, for example, also that's kind of like a Canva logo. So I would not be surprised if it was just generated on Canva or similar websites and then just stuck it there. So yeah, I hope that it's helpful, and I hope that it's helpful for the seller as well. Absolutely no hate. I'm just giving my perspective as a long-term creative designer. And yeah, aesthetics rock. Don't forget that. Give a like, give a follow. I'll be bringing out more of these analysis throughout the upcoming weeks. Cheerio. Bye bye.